Rotogrinders, Dean here. That's Dean 7904. I think I just went through puberty. What was that in my voice? It's 5:40 on the East Coast. Yeah, 5:40. 5:40 on the East Coast. 2:40 on the West Coast. 4:40 Tennessee time. So of course, I'm the time of the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Not messing around. 3-man booth. Bring it on. Will stepped aside for 1 second from his his. Well, Will, tell the people what you've been doing these days, because I know the word's getting around and it's popping there, but tell the Discord channel that's going on 24 hours a day.
I just went through puberty. That's what happened.
Did you hear that? Was that in my head or my voice cracked?
Oh no, that was real. That was
real, right?
He said, I just went through puberty.
Just wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure if that was like a voice in my head or did I sound like that? Okay.
Oh gosh. Listen. Wow.
Late bloomer.
Just wow. That's got to be one of the most interesting intros we've ever had to this show. Has to be the most interesting. At any rate, we're having a ball, man. Come hang out in the prop shop. Tons of fun. We're covering it all. I told Dean before the show, you come for the NBA and the NFL, the NHL, the MLB, but you stay for CSGO. And you don't know what kind of a sweat you're going to get from CSGO until you get involved. Super fun. And, people are learning. They're learning how to build that bankroll and not let the NBA and NFL snatch it back for them. We're stacking all throughout the day to put you on the road to success. Tons of fun in the prop shop. Come hang out. We're having a blast.
During when there's no sporting events going on, I actually one time watched one of the live events on Twitch or something like that.
Yes, Twitch TV.
I had no idea what I was watching, but it was pretty wild. The announcers were good. They were way into it. They were loving it. And then they were selling it. It seemed exciting, I suppose. I can't remember what I wagered on it. I bet something. Don't remember if I won or lost, but yeah. Oh, we'll talk about prize picks in a second. That'll be a tease. Let's introduce Andre. Andre, how are things in your world? Andre, who's not going through puberty. That's just me. It's not contagious. How are things over there, Andre, in New York?
Oh boy, everything's going good over here. That was probably one of the most, like you said, the funniest intro I've ever experienced in my life. I could not help but laugh. But things are going good over here. Hopefully trying to give us some good plays where we can crush this NBA slate tonight and win some money. If I don't take it all down, hopefully someone in the chat or one of us takes it down.
Yeah, I'm just excited that we finally get not a 3-game slate or an 11-game slate. We actually have it's the regular old 6-game slate. Kind of cool. A little bit late. Obviously first game, it's already coming on late. First game starts at 7:30. We have some news as far as injuries that we'll be talking about in a second. We're not going to give all the body parts out at once. That's what we're going to do. We're going to give the injury news as the games progress, game by game. We're going to give that a shot tonight. There's definitely a lot of news out there. Going to give a refresh one last time as far as what's going on Twitter to see if any news has dropped since we've jumped on air. And looks like the Miami Heat stuff just came out. Bam Adebayo is available to play. Tyler Hero is out, as I suspected. Let's see. Dwayne Dedman is available with his groin, and Caleb Martin is also available. I feel like there's one more we'll talk about in a second. Is that it? Yeah, no. I assume Jimmy Butler is going to be back on a back-to-back. He's perfectly fine. All right. Hey, I teased the prize picks. Will, wet the whistle. Tell the people. Give them some winners. Give them some players you're giving out there in the prop shop. Who do you like tonight from a prize picks perspective? I assume you have it for the association.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. Devin does have 2 of those, and he's going to give the graphic. And one of those is Tobias Harris over 17.5 real points. The other is Monty Morris over 2 rebounds. Okay. Monty's been over this number. God, feels like forever. or at least since a lot of these guys have been injured. Michael Porter Jr. is out, stuff like that. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give people a sneak peek, Dean,
Okay.
into the prop shop. And basically what I do in the prop shop with NBA Prize Picks is I start with a list of all the guys that I like in each category: points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, fantasy points, free throws, you name it. I cover the whole board, and I write all the ones down that I really like based on, things I'm looking at. And then off that larger list, I whittle that down to the list that I'm going to give everybody. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give them the list that I feel like has the highest likelihood of success each night, right? So I start with the list, and it doesn't mean someone I take off isn't great. It just means I'm trying to kind of go with the fine-tooth comb and give them what I feel like are guarantees. And so whoever's on this list, you can play it however you want to play it. 2-pick power, 3-pick, 4-pick, 5-pick, whatever. Here's the list. I'm going to give you the whole list today. This is inside the prop shop every day, folks. Points: Reggie Jackson over 17.5. Karl Anthony Towns over 21.5. Tobias Harris over 17.5. Donovan Mitchell over 23.5. Monty Morris over 11.5. Tyrese Maxey over 15.5. Mike Conley over 11.5. Those are points. Rebounds: Ja Morant over 5. Jaren Jackson Jr. over 5. Tobias Harris over 6.5. Monty Morris over 2. Fred VanVleet over 3.5. Assists: DeJounte Murray over 6.5. D'Angelo Russell over 5.5. Seth Curry over 2. That's a gimme. Fred VanVleet over 5. Three-pointers: Doug McDermott over 1.5. Seth Curry over 1.5. Fred VanVleet over 2.5. And then fantasy points: Dylan Brooks over 25.5. DeJounte Murray over 42.5. Tobias Harris over 34.5. Aaron Gordon under 26. That's a gimme. Donovan Mitchell over 37.5. Pascal Siakam over 35. And Fred VanVleet over 35. That's the whole list in the prop shop right now. You can go and reference it. If you missed me giving them all out on the air, that's where you'll find it. You hop in, it's not that far up. And there you have it.
Yeah, and that's in the Rotogrinders Discord channel, and there's some premium Discord channels, and there's some not, some anybody can join. It's free for anybody. This, for whatever reason, I don't know who made this decision, but this happens to be a free Discord channel, so you don't even have to be a Rotogrinders member. Just go ahead and join it that way, and I assume Devin go ahead and drop that link into Discord. And it's not just you. There's a lot of other people that are sharp, kind of bouncing ideas off each other, and it's a positive community, which is weird. It's like, oh wow, people are like rooting for each other.
Well, you know why, Dean? It's the joint sweat. We're not competing against each other.
Yeah,
we're all competing against the company, and if we're all right, we're good. That's all it is. The joint sweat, Dean. The joint sweat.
So jump in there. I made a cameo appearance there the other day.
You did. Yes, you did.
I'll pop in and out, and I'll drop some things if I happen to like them on that particular evening. All right.
Absolutely.
I mentioned it's some channels in the Discord are premium, some are not. If you happen to be a premium channel member, you'd know you have access because you have Rotogrinders Premium. How do you go about and get that? You get yourself $10 off the first month. The link is in chat for just basketball. You want just basketball? Have at it. You want college basketball, NBA, you want NFL, you want hockey, you want golf, you want MMA, baseball when it comes back around. Get yourself $10 off that way as well. Either way, however you want to do it with the combo package. All right, 6 games. We're going to dive in and break it down game by game. Andre, do you have an overall assessment as far as this slate? Overarching theme, something that's kind of jumping out for you as far as how you're building lineups. Anything kind of stand out for you before we got to dive in and break it down game by game?
Pretty much what I have today is pretty much like, I feel like all things run through either Nikola Jokic or balance build today. So that's the way I'm attacking the slate. And I feel like one of those two things are going to come to fruition. Either way, you have a balance build with no Jokic, which is going to be kind of hard because you have to pay down somewhere, or you just have a straight balance build without Jokic and it takes down everything. But that's how I think the slate is going to turn out and work out today.
Yeah, Jokic has just been the greatest fantasy point per minute player, greatest fantasy player so far this part of the season. He's been phenomenal. It's a short slate. And, when we've noticed, especially on DK, the studs have been more expensive than they have been in years past. And Jokic is $12K, Curry 11.8, George is 11, Cat 10.5. But like Jokic is the one that really feels like he's actually worth it. Not to say Curry can't get there and George can't get there, but if you're going to pick one stud, and I'm looking at the ownership stuff right now, as far as the elite guys, Jokic is more than double the field. Well, no, 2 times as owned is the next like big stud. That's just kind of the way it plays out. Will, how about yourself? of course, you can be different in tournaments, so that's encouraged as well too. There's variance, goofy stuff happens. Are you embracing Jokic as the one key stud? Are you considering a balanced build, or maybe just playing, let's just play Curry because nobody's playing him?
Well, I mean, I absolutely think you could play Curry in this spot against the Cavs, but it feels to me like Jokic is the guy, right? They're facing Philly, should still be a fairly competitive matchup. I think for me, I think if you're not going to play Jokic, like Karl Anthony Towns is 10-5, right? And while he's $1,500 cheaper, he doesn't have the same ceiling as Jokic. So I don't even want to. It's like the 1,500 may not be helping me as much as I think. Ja Morant is. I hate to be bouncing around, but I'm just kind of trying to cover the Jokic idea, right?
Yeah.
Ja Morant's probably. Him and Curry probably have the highest ceiling under Jokic tonight in terms of that range. Like Paul George has got a ceiling too, but Ja Morant's got like a 30-point, 10 rebound, 12 assist ceiling. You know what I mean? Where Paul George has more of a 38 to 40 point, 7 rebound, 5 assists. Their ceilings are different. Like, they're going to get there in different ways. And I feel like Ja Morant has more avenues, even though Paul George could get it in the peripheral category as well. Well, the difference there is Paul George is 11K on DK and Ja Morant's 10K. See, so I'm automatically going to side with Ja Morant in the matchup if I'm going to take one of those two guys and make that kind of my the staple of my build. So for me, if I'm not playing Jokic, I do think I'm playing Ja Morant for what it's worth. I think Ja Morant has the next highest ceiling on this slate in terms of full upside with what he can do across all categories. And then if I'm not playing either one of them, then I'm just going balanced, right? I'm going to take a Jimmy Butler in this spot against Washington. Even though Washington isn't like some bad team playing super fast like they used to, Jimmy Butler's got ceiling, right? And then you got, other guys that you can sprinkle in. Like I know we'll talk about Patrick Beverley later. We've got DeJounte Murray, who's kind of in that same range. Like there's just guys that I would kind of tick down and then build around them. Because as we will find out pretty soon, the value is not as good. Although I do think there's value in Monty Morris over Patrick Beverley, even though, you get what I'm saying? Like that would be my pivot off of that Patrick Beverley value. Even though I'm not saying Patrick Beverley's bad, I'm saying we shouldn't have Monty Morris at 6% and Patrick Beverley at 40%. Like that's atrocious. Like that's one of the biggest gaps I've seen in a while in terms of just straight up value, where Monty and Patrick probably have about the same ceiling.
Yeah, as far as the studs today, it's just really interesting. Jokic, this is DK specific for what it's worth, but it plays out in the other sides too. Like his projection is 59, right? His floor is 41, his ceiling is 45. He's got a higher ceiling than everybody else by at least 12 or 11 and change. The next highest guy as far as actual projection is Paul George, which is 9.5 points less. And just like there are studs and then there's Jokic, and he's just separating himself in this field. And all the usage to go around, obviously. We'll talk about that game set up, but it is interesting. That's the two slowest teams playing against each other. If you want to poke a hole in it, there's one hole you can poke in it. Philadelphia and Denver have been playing very, very slow. We're going to go game by game. Let's start off. Let's do the Golden State Cleveland game first as we kind of figure out the Washington Miami stuff. It kind of figures out in our projections. Golden State in Cleveland. Cleveland on a back-to-back, 209 is the total. Cleveland is a 10-point dog here at home. Why are they a 10-point dog? Well, they're without Jared Allen. They're without Lamar Stevens. That's not so important. Laurie Markkanen's not back just yet. Evan Mobley, of course, out for a couple weeks. So for that reason, they are without several of their starters. We saw Ed Davis draw the start the other day. I don't really think this is an Ed Davis game. He is still a minimum, basically, but I can't imagine him lasting too long in this game. Golden State's going to go small, and Cleveland probably obliges. Kevin Love on a back-to-back. We're not sure if he's going to play, but as far as I know, as of right now, he will give it a go. Andre, the prices have kind of kicked up a little bit on Rubio, on Garland as well. Okoro and Wade aren't great, but they're going to be at least on the court for 30, 35, 40 minutes. What do you think of the Cavs?
The Cavs they don't really they're not really that interesting to me today. Besides obviously going with someone like either Garland or Rubio. I'm not really on the value guys as much. Maybe Isaac Okoro could help out as well, but Ed Davis, if he was like he's playing around 25 minutes, I kind of like he was the one who intrigued me the most. Just because I know how much of a point per minute guy he can be and what he can do in the amount of time he's on the floor, but I don't know if this game's going to stay close to the point where he's going to be on the court or not. So, and I think the first people to get off the court would be probably Ricky Rubio. If this game gets ugly, which we don't like predicting blowouts, but I kind of fully expect this game to get ugly and be a blowout quickly. So, I tend to lean towards not wanting to play any of these guys because the starters is one of the guys who I like a lot more for fantasy for the fantasy purpose value standpoint. You can always play Dean Wade, obviously, but he's a 0.55 fantasy point guy a minute. And I can't see myself playing that, even at his prices. I know he'll probably get there because he'll play pretty much the whole game and not really come out much. But to me, at that price, I can't get there. Maybe Isaac Okoro, just because his price is cheap, and he'll play about 40 minutes a game, and he'll play in a blowout as well too. But other than that, there's not really a lot of guys I would want to get to besides Rubio and Garland. And I'll only have if I have those people in my lineups, I'm definitely going to play a Golden State guy back because that means I think the game's going to be close and it's going to be a competitive game.
Who would be your favorite Warrior to run it back with?
See, I probably would say Andrew Wiggins. Just because of the price point. I like Steph Curry, but I don't think I think with his price, I don't think he's going to have a ceiling game for his price. So I'll probably run it back with like Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, or Draymond Green, one of those guys. But if I run with Draymond Green, I'm probably going to have a second Warrior guy with it as well.
The minutes, by the way, are really popping from the Cleveland side. We're in 38 projected for Garland, 36 for Wade, 36 for Okoro. These guys all played a ton of minutes yesterday, but there's really nobody else. Rubio, like you said, probably the guy most likely to get an early hook if it gets ugly. We have 33 minutes projected for him. Garland is our most popular guy as far as the actual ownership. We're looking at 33.2% on DK. FanDuel, we're seeing 41% for Garland. Again, 6-game slate, smaller slate, so percentages get higher. Jump in here, Will. You give your thoughts as far as Cleveland. Those cheap guys are uncomfortable. Why did Jetty Osman get so few minutes yesterday? That was kind of confusing to me. I feel like he gets more today, but he also got a huge price hike on DK to 6-1 for Jetty Osman. What are we talking? In this economy, Will?
Yeah, I'm not playing anyone from Cleveland.
That's it. How about the Warriors? You like Steph? Draymond?
Steph's okay. Man, I feel like Draymond's one of those guys where you might just need to start playing him now. Like at 6,700, like 40 to 50 is coming. And so it's in that price range where it's not really going to burn you if you play him, but it's also not going to help you if he gets like 30 to 35. Mm-hmm. But if he gets like 40 to 50, you're going to be way different in the field. And maybe not tonight because he's projected at 16% because the slate's a little bit smaller. But, he's a guy I've got my eye on. We get him on an 8 to 11 game slate or 9 to 11 game slate. That ownership is going to be way down. And so he's a guy I think in multi-entry builds, 150 lineups, like I would start going over the field. And I'll tell you exactly where I would be. Like he's at 16.8 right now. I'd probably be at 30 today. But that to me, I'd be one. I would want to absolutely double the field on that in a spot like this where he puts up 40 to 45. Like he's gonna be getting close to optimal on DK at 6,700.
It's worth noting Steph was questionable earlier today, but he's now considered to be probable.
Yeah, let's say probable. Was it a hip, right?
Yeah, I think he took a fall. Iguodala is actually out with an old hip. He's not playing basketball tonight. That doesn't affect him too much. But
Gary Payton Jr. value play.
Does he play potentially? How many so is Payton too good to play blowout minutes now?
No, because he played blowout minutes when he was on the last game.
Like he's going to be on the court if this game blows out. Like he's like.
I think he was on the court where they played against the Brooklyn Nets, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure he was in the last coming minutes. I should say for the whole game.
We can pull up the court IQ if you're curious.
Yeah, I'm pulling it on right now actually to see. Gary Payton, actually, he didn't play the whole fourth quarter at all.
Yeah. That's the problem with him, right? Like he's at that spot where maybe he's too good to play the blowout and not good enough where he's getting a ton of run. I don't know.
He should, honestly. I would think he would play, but they also probably want to develop Kuminga a little bit more and get him a little bit running, get him accustomed to the system. So that's probably why that he's not playing. But I know Steph did come in the fourth quarter and take over and play more. I think it might just be all about matchup, honestly, too. So because I know they did play a lot of their wings a little bit more, like Otto Porter Jr. They got a little bit more run than usual. So did Nemanja Bjelica played a brief stint in the first half as well. So it might just be about that. It might just be, honestly, I think more about that than anything. I would, and Kuminga played the whole fourth quarter.
If you want to bet on a blowout, he's interesting.
If you want to bet on a blowout, he's interesting because I think he can get there quickly. He can get, there's no reason why he can't give you 25, especially 25, 30 fantasy points. What is he, 3K on DK? Especially in a blowout. There's no reason why, but that's like a deep GPP tournament. Like you're making 150 lineups and you're playing in the 400K up top.
We got him projected for 19 minutes, but I think there's a path to play 24, 25 or something like that. And his fantasy points per minute in the season, it's not a massive sample, obviously, but so far this season, he's averaging 0.93 DK fantasy points per minute, 0.95. So that's pretty reasonable on FanDuel. Usage of 21%, fine. I think he's been a pretty good stock guy too, if I'm not mistaken. Anything else this game? Steph's playing and we're just not playing him. Like he's going to be low owned and most people aren't playing him. And of course, any given night, he can put 40 or 45 actual points in the bucket. It probably doesn't happen tonight. It certainly can. But are we with the feel with that, Andre? Or just like Steph is just sort of fine. If you're MMEing, of course, like he's got to be at least in your pool to some degree, I guess. But he doesn't make your first 10, 15, 20 lineups.
Yeah, I would say he's in my pool. Definitely like my first lineup, my first probably 5 to 10 lineups. He wouldn't be in there just because I'd rather go to some other guys in some more competitive games for the upside and run it back with someone else that can match them.
Let me share this too. And I think Dre was kind of hitting on it, but I think I would be streaming all this Golden State Warriors value tonight in 150 lineups, like all of it. Lee, Otto Porter, Peyton, Kuminga. Like I would stream them all. Like, we talk about being, and Dean, people have made you out to be Mr. 10%, which is not true. I would absolutely be Mr. 10% on all of these guys. 10 on Lee, 10 on Porter, 10 on Peyton, 10 on Bjelica, 10 on Kuminga, because, this team gets blown out. I'm not expecting Cleveland to get blown out, to be honest with you. But if for some reason Golden State runs away with this thing, some of these guys, Otto Porter can put up 25 and 15 minutes. We've seen him do it before.
You got anything else this game, boys, or shall I move on?
One more thing, I guess, with it. Just if you're doing something like that, then just at least just have one of those guys in your lineup. You don't need like two of them. Just run one of them in your lineup, and that's all.
Would you also put a rule in for like limiting the Cavs, like limiting guys like Rubio, limiting guys like Garland? If you're banking on a blowout?
If you're banking on a blowout, I wouldn't want to play no one from the Cavs in there, unless they're going to be running in a blowout as well. So like Isaac Okoro will be all right, or maybe D Wade, but I would even run those guys back at that point. There's more value in the Warriors guys.
Does anybody have a Jetty Osman thought? Because I don't understand him playing 19 minutes yesterday.
Expensive.
That's just it, right? Like if he was the same price, you could play him, but like 6K, like you need a lot of things to go your way. You need to jump up to 30 minutes, which he can, but even still, he's not like this great fantasy player. So we're just not playing him. That's that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Our Miami Heat at home tonight to the Washington Wizards. 206 is the total. Washington is a 7-point dog here. Miami, again, if you missed it before, Dedmon is available. Martin is available. Tyler Hero is out. Bam is available. So Bam and Jimmy and Lowry, of course, is back from his rest. I don't know how excited to get about Hero not being there because, you tell me, Andre. And the other part is Washington's really good defensively. They're, I think, the best team in the league as far as subduing threes. They give the least amount of threes. So, it's hard to get excited about a guy like Duncan Robinson. It's always hard to get excited about Duncan Robinson. Even like a Strus, if you want to throw a needle there, that's kind of how he gets his fantasy points. And it's not a great 3-point matchup. Bam, if you assume he gets regular minutes, and we saw last night, different person, obviously, but Butler played 36 minutes of that. Like, this threw him right back in, and there you go, 36 minutes. It's kind of surprised me, to be honest. He crushed. Back-to-back for Miami. Lowry's fine. He was just resting. Talking about the Heat.
Yeah, even with the injury to Tyler Hero, there's still only 3 guys I would consider playing, but the one guy that stands out is going to be to me is Bam Adebayo, going against obviously the front line of Washington. To me, he would be a top play. I would want to play him above everyone else. Jimmy Butler is fine at his price at 9.7K. That's still, to me, too cheap for him and what he can do and what he brings to for his upside. He should still, with Tyler Hero out, he's going to still have some ball. He obviously has ball handling responsibilities in general, even with Kyle Lowry there. But he can still give you 50 fantasy points in this matchup. It's going to be probably a little bit more tougher and a little more difficult, but because obviously the Washington Wizards are a lot better than what they were last year. But there's no way in my mind if he's going to be playing around 36, 35 minutes, and this game is competitive, why he can't give you 35 fantasy points. He does a little bit of everything, get the steals, get the blocks, obviously, then he gets the assists and rebounds as well. And Gafford's available now. So yeah, so to me, I think Jimmy Butler would be like the second option, followed by Kyle Lowry after that. That's pretty much just like the big 3 for me would be the way I would go with this. Everyone else I can't see playing at all from them.
What do you have for me, Will, as far as the Miami Heat by Adebayo, projected to be very heavily owned on FanDuel, currently 37%, which is justifiable. On DK, I don't think it's that high. You can get the roster too. Of course, there's a position versatility for Bam on FanDuel where he's both a forward and a center. Yeah, we're seeing Bam at 21.6% on DK currently. Obviously, these percentages are fluid. The closer we get to lock, the more refined they become. Butler at 12.8% on DK. What do you think of the Heat, Will?
I like Jimmy Butler.
You like him for that price? Like, if you have one big spend, is it Butler? Is he your guy?
I would. I mean, Jimmy's been fine. Like, look, does he have the Jokic ceiling? Maybe not. But if Jokic gets 65 and Jimmy gets 58, Jimmy's going to be more valuable because I can put in other guys. Like, Jimmy came back, played last night. The guy put up 64 fantasy points, Dean.
Triple-double.
31 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. We got no Tyler Hero. They're playing against Washington. Should be a competitive game. I like Jimmy. I mean, if Jimmy puts up 55, like, Jokic is going to have to get 70 for the gap to be, worth it. I mean, Jimmy is essentially $2,500 cheaper than Jokic. I think it's worth it. I just do. So I really like Jimmy Butler here. I think Lowry's just okay. Like, he can get 45 tonight, but, just okay. But I definitely think Jimmy Butler is in the wheelhouse. And then, we get us another borderline value player with PJ Tucker. And while PJ Tucker doesn't feel exciting, he's going to play 30 minutes, I think. And you don't know which one of these value guys. I don't think he's going to outscore Monty Morris. He could outscore Patrick Beverly. Might not. But I'm just saying, if PJ Tucker puts up 28 fantasy points tonight, is it worth it for his 4K? Yeah, it's absolutely worth it. The closer he gets to 30, the better I feel. The problem is the ride to 30 is going to feel really bumpy. But at 4K on this slate, I don't hate it.
There are some other cheapies we'll talk about later that I prefer more than Tucker. That is the worst sweat in the world. I know it's happened, and he makes a couple of his corner threes. But, yeah, man. Andre,
PJ Tucker has helped this Miami team out.
Well, yeah, but more of he's a glue guy. He's not.
He shot 6 or 7 yesterday.
Well, 7 is the key number. He only shot 7 times. It was 9.
Yeah, but most of the time he's getting peripherals.
Oh, yeah. Andre, are you playing PJ Tucker in your pool tonight?
No, PJ Tucker is nowhere near my player pool. I'm also making. I'm making one.
That's the mush play of the day. You already know now. PJ Tucker.
I'm making
what is his ceiling?
And I don't think PJ Tucker makes the cut. But I do love what he said about with Jimmy though, especially because I'm leaning more towards going on a balanced build, and I know Jimmy Butler would fit it perfectly. But I would love to try to see if I can get Jimmy and Paul George together, or if not, someone else who I really like is DeJounte Murray, which we'll get to later. But You just have two of those guys in your lineup, and they give you 50 fantasy points each, or 55. You don't need Jokic on the slate, so it's just about finding the right guys in the right positions. And I think Jimmy to me is a top overall target and value that stands out to me. And then from there, Bam is right there next to him.
Yeah, I like Butler a good bit as well. Miami yields a lot of threes, by the way, for what it's worth. So maybe you get some 3-point balls out of like Bradley Beal. Kuzma, not a great 3-point shooter, but he's willing to take them. It is worth noting. You kind of mentioned there, Andre. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying I think Kuzma's too expensive.
Yeah. Gafford it just says active, which is okay. So that means he's available. If he's active.
Yeah,
he's kind of the note. Yeah. So if you were thinking about Montrez, like, of course you can still play Montrez. There are paths, but the path is a little bit choppier. They're without Dinwiddie, which is important to some degree. Well, you'll get a potential cheapie, at least in Aaron Holiday, who's been all right. When he needs to be stepping up, get some extra minutes. Howell Neto is also another cheapie, 3.2K. Avdia would have been kind of sort of someone interesting if Gafford was out, but I'm probably not there anymore. Will, what are your thoughts as far as the Washington side? I generally don't love it. Of course, you can fire off Beal in tournaments. He's got a real shot at making 40 points this game. Wouldn't surprise me. He has to if they want to keep this game close. The Wiz, what do you have for me?
I don't like the Wizards today. I like Montrezl Harrell, and he's a guy who can kind of crank up some stuff. Didn't he have Dia? Like, his minutes have come up a little bit. He's cheap too. Like, I would throw him in the lineup. We got him projected at 10% though, so he's not going to surprise anybody. But that's about it. Like, KCP could, go off. He's had a couple 30-point games sprinkled in this season. So I think he's on the list too. I think what we're doing is we're hunting for value, and none of the value feels great, but you almost have to consider it.
Yeah, I mean, Harrell's their best fantasy point minute player in the season, 1.25 per minute, but not drawing the start. Well, we're assuming that he's going to be coming off the bench once again. He does have passed to playing 28 minutes and crushing out there. The matchup versus Bam's not great. Beal, 1.15 fantasy point minute is pretty solid as well. Avdia is okay as a fantasy player, 0.84. Neto, 0.78. KCP, 0.68. Like, he's out there for a lot of minutes for what it's worth. Andre, is there much appealing for you here on the Washington? I mean, there's guys you can just sort of fill in. Like, you could throw in a Gafford, you could throw in an Avdia, you can throw in a Holiday, but nothing you really feel. There's no like things you have to have, right? I don't think so.
No, to me, it's either Beal or nothing on this side of the ball. And Beal's a good price on FanDuel at 8,700 tonight. That's too cheap for him, so you can play him over there, and his usage is at 32%. So that's a great usage for him. So I would roster him on FanDuel before I do on DK.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Moving on. Clippers, Memphis, 220.5 is the total. That's a pretty big number, and it's tight as well. Memphis is a 1-point favorite. Clippers are banged up. Justice Winslow is out for personal reasons. Marcus Morris is still not playing. Serge Ibaka is playing in the G League tonight. That's my understanding. He said tonight's going to be the last night playing there. But I don't think anything's changed. Terrence Mann is questionable. My guess is he doesn't play. That's just a guess. Don't know. He missed at least one game, and he had like a legit injury. And Nicholas Batum is doubtful with his Achilles as well. So the Clippers are thin. They're down. I think they have 10 guys. And they could potentially be down to 9 if we're counting correctly. If Mann does not play, in theory, there should be some value here. I'll throw it to you, Will. As far as the Clippers, how enthused are we about LA tonight?
Listen, I do like the Clippers. Reggie Jackson is someone I'm interested in. A guy that's taken a lot of shots. You know how I feel about activity, Dean. When guys are getting shots up, I start getting real excited, and we look at this price tag, and it's $6,500, and it's not the price you want to pay for Reggie Jackson. No. But I'm telling you right now, 22 shots, 17, 16, 17, 20, 18, 16, 18, 17. Shall I continue? The guy is getting up the shots.
You sure that wasn't PJ Tucker you're reading off? Was that Tucker or Reggie Jackson? Which one was that?
No, this is Reggie Jackson with a $6,500 price tag, not PJ Tucker with a $4K price tag. And anyway, I like Reggie Jackson, a guy that, if he's going to get up this much volume, I think we have to consider him. We're looking at Eric Bledsoe. He's playing 30 minutes now. Perhaps they squeeze in Luke Kennard. He's playing 30 minutes. I don't hate it, right? Just a spot I think we can play him. Mr. Zubac got back up to 30 minutes on the 16th. Is he going to see 30 minutes tonight? If we get 30, he's in play. I like the Clippers here. I mean, I think they've got some value. I mean, they just do.
Who's your favorite cheapie? I mean, you mentioned Zubac. Even Hartenstein's kind of in the pool. He's a good fantasy point minute player. Not really solid minutes. You can play 15, possibly 20, depending on. And again, if Man doesn't play, you mentioned Kennard. That Kennard might play 34, 30. Assuming Man and Batum sit. That's an assumption. Kennard's got to play a ton.
You're gonna, and we've already got him at 14%. He's a guy that we know could hit 5 threes in this game. He does that, you're getting close to 20 points already. That's what, 17 and a half points? Yeah. Just off 3-pointers. Nothing else. Rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. You have to add our half point for negative for turnovers or 1 point for turnovers, but still, he should get there.
Andre, obviously Paul George best play in this team, 1.43 fantasy points per minute. The usage is 34%, immense. Reggie Jackson second there at 24%. He's a little bit steep, but again, he will have to do a lot either way, but especially if Man and Batum looks more likely to not play. Your thoughts as far as the Clippers?
I thought Batum was already declared out.
I saw doubtful, so maybe I missed he's officially out.
Okay.
That's the last I saw.
All right. This whole team is definitely very interesting. If Terrence Mann is out, I might want to take a look at that guy. Who that guy? What's his name?
Coffee?
No, Boston. I watched the game last game when he was playing. He played, I think, like 20 minutes or so, I believe.
Okay.
Let me pull up his stats real quick.
Yeah, he played about 20 minutes.
Yeah, Brandon Boston played like 20 minutes and put about 21 fantasy points. So to me, he's on DK at 3.3K. That's a good GPP dart right there, I would say. That is though if Terrence Mann is out, because I know they said before even last game, Tyronn Lue said he wants to get him some more minutes. So that's someone I definitely would look at, because the way he was just I watch basketball all the time, and the way he was just giving it to those guys was unbelievable. I never saw a guy that guy with his size and his athletic ability to move that way was amazing, getting up those shots. So he's someone I would look at for sure in deep in like GPP tournaments. You can play Isaiah Hartenstein, Zubac as well as you want to, but I think they're okay. I would really more so go towards the guards with Paul George, Eric Bledsoe, Reggie Jackson, and Luke Kennard a little bit as well, especially also if what's out, especially if Terrence Mann is out. Terrence Mann, though, if he's in, he's going to be, I think, under-owned for what he can do and bring to the slate.
I agree.
Because I know we got him at like 25% on FanDuel, 13% on DK. I think it's gonna come in less than that, because people don't know if the more we get closer to lock him, we don't know what his to me his status is, the more I think less owned he's gonna be. So he would be a nice sneaky play, I think, if we don't get no news of him until like 7:30 and find that he's in for sure. But other than that, to me, the top play would be Paul George for sure. I like getting Paul George a lot in this matchup. He's my second favorite player on the slate, next to going to
Butler.
Behind the Butler's my third, next to Jokic. Sorry. So I'm gonna try to get a lot of Paul George. He's been efficient with the scoring, against the basket, and we know he's taking a shot. So he's one of my favorite guys to get to as well, followed by Eric Bledsoe and then Reggie Jackson in the top three.
Yeah, and they talk about correlation as far as running it back with the two studs in the same game. If you're playing some Paul George, John Morant.
Yes.
I'm looking at 1.8% owned projection on FanDuel. DK, I'm guessing it's not that much more different. There's a sticker shock.
I played 24 minutes last night. I mean, on the 15th, excuse me.
We're looking at 3.5% ownership for Morant. We get 10K on DK.
Dean.
Yeah.
Ja played 24 minutes on the 15th.
Okay.
He put up 44 fantasy points.
He was playing Houston, but okay. Yeah, he's great.
Tonight he's playing the Clippers. There's really no difference.
Yeah,
He's very good. He's very good. It's just, again, if you can have Ja or Jokic or Butler or George.
We live in a world of a salary cap.
Yeah.
Ja's 10K, Jokic is 12K on DK.
Yeah. No, that's fair. But there's a reason. He's tough to be like your only one. Oh, yeah, you can make him work with George as well. So we're just playing like by himself against the Clippers, obviously. Yeah, and that's just one way to be different, just to play John Morant, who's awesome. I guess that's something you want to do, Will.
I do. I talked about it earlier. John, Jimmy Butler are kind of two of my favorites that I'm interested in. That's a tier below. And I'm not expecting them to score 70 tonight. But I'm also saying that if Jokic scores 65 and Josh scores 55, I'm okay because the salary cap allows me to do different things. So John Morant and Jimmy Butler, clearly my favorite studs of the night. Also with this team, I wanted Kyle Anderson to be a thing, and I just don't think he's going to be a thing, right? But DeAnthony Melton, we wanted him to be a thing, and now that Dylan Brooks is back, he's not going to be a thing. But Desmond Bane still out here playing 25 to 30 minutes, going to get some shots up. Another value play, but he's 22%. So, I'm just that's why I was looking at these other guys like PJ Tucker and this Golden State Warriors value. I'm not playing Desmond Bane at 22% tonight. I can tell you that right now. He gets the automatic X button. He's immediately.
3-point Laurent. He's all about those 3-pointers. The Clippers pretty good at subduing the threes. And like you said, the key thing is that Brooks being back just kind of mucks up a bunch of guys. Just sort of across the board, like everybody's taking like slight little hits. And even Triple J, it's not even foul trouble. They're only giving him 28 minutes for whatever reason. I don't get that. It's hard to get excited about anybody in Memphis. It's the way they have too many guys that are getting too many minutes, and just the way they're splitting it up with the pie, it's just not that appealing. You have anything else to add to that, Andre, as far as the Memphis side? It's
no, I agree 100% with that. Like for me at this point, it would just be Ja Morant, and that's only in tournaments. And I can't play no one else. Desmond Bane I like him for his price, but with Dylan Brooks being back there, you don't know. The minutes can also flip-flop where Dylan Brooks can play 30 minutes and Desmond Bane can play 24. And other than that, I'll hurt Desmond Bane a little bit too as well. So it's just a situation I want to stay away from and only play the major guys from there, which is a guy, like I said, like Ja Morant. So he's the only guy I will look to go to tonight. And if I'm playing Ja Morant, I'm definitely going to have Paul George on the other side.
Let's move on. Spurs, Minnesota, 218.5. It's a total. Spurs are a 2-point dog. They are getting Jakob Poeltl back. So I think the Spurs are as healthy as they've been the entire season. And Minnesota's two questionable guys. Naz Reid's got a legitimate foot. He played through it last night. He's questionable, and Josh Okogie is questionable as well. And Andre, you kind of referenced it. I was a pre-show or on the show or not, but Pat Bev is popping as a really, really chalky play tonight. And he's not like a high usage guy, obviously, but he's going to play a ton of minutes. He's really cheap. He's coming off a good game as well. We're looking at like 40% projected ownership on DK because there's not a lot of value in this slate. And this is the way you're making studs work. And you understand that. But you also know that Pat Bev has a floor of like 10 if things go poorly. Maybe that's too high for a floor. I don't know. So your thoughts as far as Beverly in Minnesota?
I'm going to be way under the field on him. I'm only running one, so it's going to be 0. He's not being my lineup at all. Like, I just can't play Pat Beverly at that price. Just like you said, he's not consistent enough for me to warrant to think that he has an upside, especially this matchup. Sacramento's a fast-paced team where he played last time, and they're young and they turn the ball over a lot. So, like, to me, I would expect for him to get that. To the San Antonio team, it's a lot more disciplined. They do turn the ball over a little bit, but not as much, and they do play a little bit. They play more on tempo than they have in the past. But from Minnesota, he would not be the guy I want to get to as much. The guys I want to get to would be the main 3 guys would be Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns, and D'Angelo Russell. Maybe I even have a little bit of Vanderbilt because San Antonio's front is not that strong. But the thing about this is the minutes a little bit concern me. And in the last two, he's played 24, 25 minutes, but before that, he was only playing in a mid-teen. So that concerns me a little bit. But Anthony Edwards, to me, that guy's a star. I feel like he has to be played on, if not in every line, at least one line you have in your max entry, but some of them, he's just too good of a player, and he's taking a lot. And I would love Karl-Anthony Towns in the spot. To me, he should be like next to Jokic. He should really be the second top favorite player on the slate. He's too cheap at 9.8K and 10.5 on DK and 9.8 on FanDuel. His upside is tremendous and is high. I think he's the only one who could come close, besides obviously Paul George and Butler, to get what Jokic could get, especially going against the Spurs. But the way that Anthony Edwards plays and D'Angelo Russell plays, it takes away usage from him. But if they decide to just let Karl-Anthony Towns dominate the post and down low, we can see that upside game from Karl-Anthony Towns. So I love him for GPPs and tournaments.
You said it, but the key is usage for Towns because he's third. He's third on his team in usage. Like, what up with that? Well, I mean, I like Edwards too, but like Edwards is leading the team at 29%, Russell 26%, and then Cat right there at 25. I feel like that should be flipped. He's also got a higher true shooting percentage, but that's not worth getting into all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's why I probably can't. And again, we'll talk about Jokic, and there's some other value centers out there that we'll talk about soon enough that I think they kind of make stuff work too. So I'm probably not playing Cat. I'm not saying he's a bad play. Of course, he's a fine play. And Edwards and Russell, they all make stuff work as well. You mentioned Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt would benefit if Okogie doesn't play. That would solidify his minutes, I think. And also Naz Reid, maybe 20 minutes or so, kind of working 15, 20 minutes. Like there's guys like Jalen McDaniels, but I think Vanderbilt's the safest of that bunch. Not a high usage guy, obviously 11%. Not this great fantasy point minute guy, but pretty good at 0.86, 0.9, depending on where you're shopping. Will, your thoughts as far as Minnesota? Anything you want to add to that, or we're actually a little bit behind on time? Feel free to just jump to the other side.
Absolutely. DeJounte Murray is on my list. He's another one of those guys where I think we don't want to adjust to his new role. And me and Dean had this discussion where Luka's 11K and he's 9,200, 9,500. Well, past two games, 60 fantasy points. No, that is not an exaggeration. 60. And then you go and look at how many times he's crossed 50 this season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that was a 71. He's crossed the 50 mark 6 times. And he's crossed the 40+ mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 40+ fantasy points in 10 games this season already. And tonight he gets to play the Minnesota Timberwolves. Sign me up. Don't hate Derek White as well at 5,300. He's going to be a little bit more sporadic. We don't know, when his games are coming, but I do think at 5,300 is viable. We've got him at, 21% anyway. Dougie McBucket's coming in at 10%. I like him in this spot. As you can see, I've got him in the prop shop over 1.5. 3 points.
You don't think Pirtle hurts him? You think Pirtle hurts him?
No.
Negative.
No, not at all. Okay.
Are you talking about DeJounte Murray?
No. McDermott, like McDermott's minutes. I feel like obviously
no.
Thad Young the most, I think.
Yeah,
guys Eubanks.
We're not rostering Dougie McBucket. We're rostering him to get some shots. So, I'm not really worried about it. At 3,800, if he was like 5K, then he'd get the X button, clearly. But outside of that, and then you got Devin Vassell, who only got 19 minutes in that Clippers game, but it played, pushing near 30. I would want to go back to the well on Devin Vassell because we're not on him tonight at all, right? Like he's another value play that we're getting no ownership on, and he should absolutely crush.
Naz Reid is now a game time decision. There you go. That's nothing helpful there at all. What do you have for me, Andre, as far as the San Antonio side? What do you want to add to what Will said?
Murray, White, Keldon Johnson, spot 3 guys that I'm looking at for the Spurs.
You got a favorite amongst those?
DeJounte Murray.
All right, let's move on. Philadelphia and Denver. 209.5 is the total. Denver is a 7-point favorite. We've referenced Jokic multiple times. He's absolutely insane as far as fantasy points per minute. I don't know what else we can tell y'all. He's a phenomenal play. It is worth noting as far as their injury report, we thought Barton was going to be out. He's been upgraded today to questionable. Bones Highland is probable with his ankle. So I'm assuming Barton doesn't play, but I don't know. As far as the Philadelphia side, I don't think there's really anybody all that interesting to play outside of Harris on FanDuel. I'll throw it to you. Well, we gotta pick up the pace a little bit because we want to save a little bit of time for questions from chat as well. Devin's been compiling those. Tell me what you like on Philly, and then we'll jump over to Denver.
Seth Curry, Andre Drummond. That's mainly it.
How about yourself, Andre? Did you like anything on Philly? I'm not really in on Philly today.
Only thing I like on Philly is Andre Drummond and Tobias Harris on FanDuel. Pretty much that's really it. I'm not looking at no one else really much on Philly.
Talk to me about Denver.
Denver, I like Monte Morris is my favorite cheap value play today to get away from the Reggie Jackson chalk that we're gonna have. To me, I'm just gonna load up. If everyone's gonna be on Reggie Jackson, I would just be. I mean, on Reggie Jackson on Patrick Beverly. Sorry, then I will be on Monte Morris all day, every day, because I know Monte Morris can put up 40, 50 fantasy points at any given night, and it's more likely for him to have those games as opposed to Patrick Beverly. And he's going to be playing the minutes because he's starting point guard for this team right now. So I like the matchup for him here going against Philly. And then obviously everyone's going to be distracted with Jokic too and playing in Jokic. I don't know if Barton hurts Jokic a little bit if he's back. I have to look into that when we get off air. But if he hurts, I think he might hurt him just a little bit as far as usage wise. But Jokic is an efficient scorer to the point where it might not even matter. He can still get you that upside game in the from just taking away a little bit of shots, because we see he's been putting up 60 fantasy points in 1, 2, 3, in like 4, definitely in 3 of his last 4 games he has for sure. And then we have a couple other games outside that he's reached close to that too as well. Terrence Mann will play tonight. Batum is officially out. And Cedi Osman is now questionable. Just to let you guys know. Aaron Gordon.
Huh.
I keep saying
Amir Coffey starting, by the way.
Okay, so
interesting.
Yeah, that's a different lineup. So I would play Terrence Mann down. He's a good play, definitely for sure now. Aaron Gordon, I like getting to him a little tiny bit, but I'm gonna be well in the field on him for sure today. And Jeff Green, he's definitely always good for GPPs, but I'm not gonna be high on him.
All right, gonna move on to the last game. Toronto, Utah, 215 is the total. Utah is a 10-point favorite. Toronto got bad news today about OG Anunoby. He's out with a hip. He's going to be out for a while. That's what they said, a while. Precious Achiuwa is also out. Boucher is available with his back. This is what I was talking about, Andre. I was kind of alluding to as far as potential cheapies here, especially on DK. Khem Birch is 3K, stone minimum on DK. We're projecting him to start. Chris Boucher also 3K. I assume it's Birch starting over Boucher. They like Birch more than like Boucher, and they need, not that Birch is this big dude for a center. He's kind of an undersized center, but he's the biggest guy they got to throw at Rudy Gobert. So I think Khem Birch is a really solid value play. I think Boucher is really interesting if this game gets ugly. I don't know if you can play them together. You probably can a little bit, maybe, because they're both so cheap and they both should get some run. That's where I'm starting as far as Toronto, because I think they're the most interesting when you consider their salary and potential. Are you with me in those guys?
I'm with you. Now, I don't like Khem Birch really a lot today. Because obviously it's like other centers better. But Boucher, I get what you're saying, and then it makes sense. It makes sense for both those guys. I will not play them together. I will play them separate, just because one is going to play more than the other. And if it's a blowout, I don't know if either one of them actually see the quarter, because it just depends on how Nick Nurse feels about Boucher, which I don't know why he doesn't get the run. I don't know what Boucher's done to Nick Nurse to make him not want to play him, but Boucher was a great fantasy point per minute guy when he was playing a lot of minutes last year. But if Boucher, like I said, deep tournament GPP plays, Boucher's a good guy to be on, because you never know. He's going to play a little bit tonight for sure. We know that, but just how much, we don't know exactly. To me, the main guy I would be looking at, it's hard to really take anyone from Toronto. You can obviously play Fred VanVleet, who I think is a phenomenal play. Pascal Siakam, though, is the number one guy for me in this matchup. 16% on DK. I mean on FanDuel, he's coming in at, and 13% on DK. His price is he's too cheap for the upside and the amount of minutes he's been playing lately, and he's just not on a minutes restriction anymore. So If they let him run about this much and run him like 35 to 40 minutes a night, I'm gonna have at it and play him at this price while I can, because he's gonna go up.
For what it's worth, we're projecting Birch for 27 minutes and Boucher for 17. But like, it's really tricky, like you said. And coach hates Boucher, but you think they got to play him a little bit tonight. They seem to like Banton. Banton's a guy that can get busy in a blowout. Svi Mikhailiuk is also 3-point. I think he's 3-1 on DK and 3-7 on FanDuel. It feels like there's somebody who's going to pop in this Toronto side. And of course, if this game stays close, FEV and Siakam and Barnes are going to play a ton of minutes. Obviously, a bad matchup, in the altitude there in Utah. And Utah's, we'll talk about them briefly too. We gotta get a move on it, Will. I don't mean to speed you up or anything, but your thoughts as far as this game before we knock out some questions from chat.
I like Mike Conley, like Pascal Siakam, like Scotty Barnes.
Do you have a thought as far as the center situation there for Toronto, or are you just staying away from it?
And I think Birch is going to play some. I mean, he's going to be good value. But I thought he was a little obvious, but I do like Kim Birch as well. Sorry.
Yeah. And, it's probably a good thought Andre had. Maybe it's best to play. You could probably play Boucher.
Dean, you said you needed us to hurry, so I gave you the guys I liked. And
I know.
And we're still on the game.
I know, but I was just rethinking a thought that Andre said, and he was talking about maybe don't play the two cheapies together. And maybe it's more of a cash thing than a tournament thing. I'm not sure. But maybe just play one in a tournament. Is this kind of the thought that all right, let's move on. Let's knock out some questions from chat. I apologize for ignoring chat, but we've having a good conversation regarding the slate. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're talking football later, not me, but somebody else is talking the football slate tonight. I don't know who's going to be talking.
I will be there.
Oh, there you go, Will. There you go, talking some football tonight. Let's see some questions we have from chat. Are we stacking the Clippers? Andre, are we stacking the Clippers tonight? A little less so now that Man's playing, right?
I mean, you can still stack it if you want to. It's not that'll be an underrated stack, I think, for tonight. You can.
Andre, I'll ask this one of you as well because it's a Heat question. Who is going to pick up the slack for Hero?
Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, but you might see a little bit more ball handling responsibilities to Kyle Lowry as well, more so too.
That's my thought as well. My thought is it's like the stars just gonna be a little bit better, and I don't really like the fringe guys. All right, Will, why is Shake Milton such a good play that no one is on? Why is that?
He's not a good play. No one's on.
Thank you. Drake took that. I'm not worried about Shake Milton tonight.
Fair enough.
I'll have to get that out there.
Is Bones Highland the play if Barton? Yeah, it's funny. I got in the whole conversation last night with Bones Highland. It did not work out for your boy. He got hurt though. Bones got hurt, and he's available tonight. And if Barton doesn't play, in theory, there's a ceiling, and he's a way to separate himself from the slate. Does anybody have a Bones Highland take as far as the slate?
I'm just gonna play Monte Morris since he's gonna be lesser owned. I'm not gonna play unless I know for sure that he's out. But he got there a limited amount of minutes. That's the thing. 22 minutes, 21 minutes. That's great. He's performing at that amount of fantasy points per minute. But I'd rather just stick with the regular guys.
If Monte Morris, if Barton plays, does Morris take a big hit for you?
Yes, I'm not playing. Okay. No. Oh, Morris. No, Morris doesn't know.
All right. Core cash game plays. Play Jokic. And I know you don't want to hear it, Andre, but Pat Bev is a core play on DK, possibly even on FanDuel, maybe more so on DK. And on FanDuel, I would say that Garland and probably Bam too. That's probably DK. It's a little bit trickier, not as obvious there. A couple more questions before we step aside and make way for crunch time. Will, is there any games that you're just Xing out? Just X out games? I generally don't do that, but like sometimes I just do it without realizing I'm doing it.
No, not tonight. I don't have any that I've X'd out because I have people from all those games.
Andre, you're Xing any games out tonight?
I'm not Xing no guys out, but the most unappealing game for me probably is a Cleveland Golden State game.
This is a very generic question. Which players would play the most minutes in the games that are projected to blow out? So just give me this, Andre, your favorite player in a potential blowout, like your favorite dart to say, this guy's going to play more minutes if goofy things happen. They're one guy.
I don't know. It depends on the game. Like
any game.
Like I'm gonna have to go to Cleveland guy. I would say Isaac. My favorite guy, maybe Isaac Okoro, or someone from the Golden State side, but it would be probably Kuminga.
Yeah, I like that one as a dart. Will, your favorite GPP value play?
Monty Morris on DK at 4,700.
Andre, single entry DK GPP. This is for Lionel. You want Curry or Joker? And you understand how the ownership's going to go in single entry.
Yeah, single entry. If you're just trying to win it all by yourself, that's how I play. So I'm gonna go Curry. But if not, go Jokic and just get different somewhere else.
I don't have any thoughts right away on Coffee. I'll let Andy handle that as far as Coffee. But I'd imagine I feel like Man probably closes, but I'm not really certain as far as that. But Coffee's probably interesting as a starter. Will, you have any interest in Gary Trent?
Slight interest. I mean, with no OJ, he'll be okay. I mean, at 5,900, he could get there. He's been over 30 fantasy points in the past 3 games. A guy's going to take, well over double-digit shot attempts.
Cedi Osman is out tonight.
Oh man, Cleveland's going to be so annoying. We're going to be playing Dean Wade, all these terrible players. It's going to be so bad. Andre,
that's your play. That's your
Denzel Valentine might actually be okay tonight.
I don't disagree.
Worth.
I don't disagree with that.
I'd rather play Denzel Valentine than playing Dean Wade. So, yeah.
Andre, we got to go, but one more. Any DK GPP, are you limiting the amount of Minnesota guys in the same lineup? How many Minnesota guys would you run in the same lineup?
2.
Yeah. All right. We got to step aside and get out of here. We do appreciate y'all watching. Hit that like button your way out. Subscribe to our notifications. Will's going to be back later talking football, not too far down the road, talking tonight's showdown slate. Check out his prop shop, the Discord. We'll go ahead and drop that link in chat. Get $10 off RG Premium as well. Check that out as well. Use the promo code Grinders for prize picks, $100 off, or $100 for deposit bonus. There you go. All that stuff in the chat. Have at it. Devin's going to kick us out in just a second. He's knocking on the door because he's going to produce Crunch Time. If you guys are premium members, y'all know that goes down. Andy will break down all the news just broke on us at the last second of the show. That was Will. That was Andre. That was Devin. That was basketball. I was Dean. I just went through puberty. We're out of here. Holler.